Hey, this is Dan here from Rune Silk, and I'm joined by one other, and that's none other than Damo for show, and this is the Beardmail podcast. So sit back, listen, and enjoy.
Boom! Welcome to the Beardmail podcast. It's me, Damo, and him, Daniel Jones. We've got all sorts of stuff going on, right? Dan has got some banging drum and bass happening in the background. I am going to try and be lively and fresh, but in all honesty, Dan, I've got to let you know, I'm feeling tired. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling maybe it's a little bit of post-comp blues. I'm not sure. I'm feeling a little bit down, and it's a great time because this week it's World Mental Health Day. So I think it's a good time for us, Dan, to talk about what affects all human beings and mostly men. I think men are catching a bad bit of mental health of late. So we're going to talk about mental health, Dan. How do you feel about that?
I feel, yeah, I think that's a fantastic topic to kick off for today. We might put a little background music on just so we don't have loads of...
Shall I do that? That drum and bass you've got is how my brain feels all the time.
Yeah.
Let me try it. I'll try to put some daydreaming on. Here's some daydreaming background tunes for sure.
Might just cover it a little. Although the tune that they are playing downstairs in the coffee shop while they clean is an absolute banger. It's at a nice little lull at the minute as it's about to drop, and then it's going to proper.
You are very good. You are very good at that beatboxing stuff, you know, Dan. Where did you learn that move?
I guess probably from when I was about 16, 17, when we used to do a lot of ciphers. We used to go down the park and do a lot of rap battles. Not rap battles really, because we were just sort of doing it as a little freestyle thing between a group of mates. We used to sit, do that on a regular basis, and while we weren't rapping, we'd do a beat, so mainly hip hop and stuff like that.
Nice, that's cool. Let's talk mental health. How do you feel that what is? Can you define it? No, I probably should say a disclaimer. Actually, we're just two blokes talking about our minds. We're not actual official scientists or doctors or people proclaiming to know. We're just going to talk about our experiences and behaviours and how we're feeling. And it's good. It is now good to talk. It wasn't necessarily good to talk about how you felt, but now it's kind of okay. There people say there's a stigma about it, but I think certainly in the beardie community, it is okay to say if you're having a bit of a wobble and if you're struggling with your mental health. So I think that's what we're going to talk about, Dan. There's so much for us to cover, and I know people listening will be like, yeah, I get that. But just first and foremost, I suppose you ought to box off the tick boxes. Look, if you are properly suffering with something, if you've got something diagnosed or undiagnosed, please do seek professional help. We'll have to make sure we put all the links and that in the comments afterwards. But if you are really, really, really down, get onto Samaritans, get onto your local mental health services, get onto the NHS and get a professional help. This is not a podcast for professional help about mental health. It's just two blokes talking about how we're feeling right now in October 2022. Let's have it, Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's it is that time of year. We've just had summer. Even though we've just had summer, it really feels like we haven't just had summer. It's a bit of a strange one. All of a sudden, boom! It's getting darker. Earlier. Already it's getting cold. Like today's weather was savage. I was walking through town today, and it was raining, and it was windy, and it was just horrible. And I think, yeah, you mentioned post-comp blues. In your introduction, you can see already from Facebook that there's people who attended Beard On last weekend who are already starting to, they're starting to say that, it is post-comp blues a thing, and I think it is, especially as Beard On. I actually replied to one of the comments saying that because Beard On is the last, as it is standing in the season. Technically we haven't got one until the new year that's announced, and that's Braw in February. For a lot of people, the bearding community is where, they come and they see loads of people they don't see throughout the year. They may themselves be quite solo characters, introverted normally. They may not have a wide group of friends. And when they come to the beard community, all of a sudden they've got loads of friends and loads of socials and great times and great fun. And then all of a sudden, bang, they go back and they're back to their sort of reality of having to work. Maybe they're not going to see so many people between now and Christmas. So I think it is. I think post-comp blues is real. I'm definitely kind of feeling it, knowing that I don't have any real events now. Got one event in November, but apart from that, it's nothing now until the new year, and it's like, oh, that's quite sad actually.
I think you've touched on two things there, but back in the day, there used to be a beard. So for me, there's two things. There's the SAD syndrome, which is seasonal affectional disorder, which is an actual thing. Just the change in the weather can affect people. It's not necessarily when it gets colder and darker. Some people also struggle with this when it changes into summer as well. There's just generally something in the ethos and the atmosphere, and then things change. So have a little Google of that. There is some information on seasonal affectional disorder online and on Mind on their website actually. But I think there's that you're talking about as we get into those earlier darker nights and it being cold in temperature, having to put the heating on. That's one thing. Obviously, talking about no competitions, there used to be the Sandgrown used to do a Christmas one. It was called like the Winter Bleak one, but it was cool because you did get together in Christmas. That said, Dan, like that is the last competition. There is a competition happening for the bearded villains. So I know within the beard community, there's lots of different types of clubs and different groups and different communities. You don't tend to see so many bearded villains and those types of clubs, what I call like the brotherhoods or the motorcycle club. Where they have the hierarchy of scouts and prospects and that. You don't really see them at the beard competitions so much. Only perhaps the beard mob. They're always at the beard competitions, but they have actually got bearded villains. Have got, I think it's Central bearded villains have got a big do in December. So they, but we're not invited for that because we're not.
That's the one that's on the 3rd, isn't it? I think it's the Birmingham bearding.
Yeah, that's it. Because they've tapped us up for the raffle, so I'm trying to sort out a Beardmail box if we can for their raffle. They're supporting
absolutely
Ronald McDonald Children's Hospice, I think, or I can't remember. But anyway, so it's not like there's not any things going on. But as far as sort of, if you like, our community, the competitions for us are over as such. But there will be lots of meetups, for Christmas and stuff, perhaps around. But I think it's the weather changing. And certainly post-comp blues is a thing I know, and you've nailed it spot on. For a lot of people, they just have a really good time at a beer competition, and then and you got to factor in as well. There's the beers and that as well. So people, a bit of a hangover, a bit of a downer, you can get hit by that on the back of a good weekend away, and like you say, snap back to reality, going to work. So there's probably a perfect storm, and it's a good reason why people might be feeling a little bit poo in the zoo right now. You're right.
Yeah, and I think there's a number of things that are stacked against us this year in particular as well. It's getting colder. People are already worried about the rising cost of fuel and energy prices. So this winter in particular, I mean, for the last couple of years, you always hear people kind of worried about it, kind of putting their feelings out in the world, saying, oh, not looking forward to having to put the heating on this year, not sure, is it going to be heat or heat? But this year, in particular, it seems like there's a massive emphasis on this huge price lift, a price gap lift, or whatever it is. That this year it's real. And it's a lot of people worrying. I've got to put the heating on. I overheard a conversation yesterday when I took my son to his class, and he said that they had one of these smart meters and electric heaters. They had the heating on for an hour, and it cost 58p. That sounds quite small. However, that's for an hour. If you've got the heating on for 10 hours, that's £5.80 just on heating for the day. So all of a sudden you're looking at £250. No, that's not right, is it? £150 just on the heating for the month. That's not even anything else that they're using, the cooking, everything else. So I think that's also added to it.
Taking Dad's iPad to school to charge it for him.
Oh, for sure. Like even when we went away to Beardon, we stayed away at the hotel. I was like, babe, get all the power banks out and plug them in. I think just made sure the power bank was up to 100% because decided, might as well, while we're here, just plug the phones in, plug everything that charges up. Eventually it'll be cheaper to go and stay in a cheap hotel and plug all your take some of those big old chunky, 775 amp hour big juicy packs, the ones I mean that you can take camping and stuff. Just take that to the hotel, plug that in.
If you want any more tips on saving electricity and beating the recession, please do check out our previous podcasts, Beat the Recession. This one is about mental health, Dan. Let's stay on topic. So,
Yeah.
I've been stressed. It's all about them cortisol levels. I've been reading a lot about, and we've covered some of this before, like not necessarily directly, but do you remember the social media podcast we did? Please link back and check it out. We talked about dopamine and that, and getting your buzz off that and your hits off that. I've been learning a lot more about that of late. And when you miss that sort of stuff, it really does mess with your human. Our bodies are old fashioned. They're designed for hunting and gathering, and having little bits of dopamine. They're not supposed to be glued to a phone all day. And I genuinely feel that my stress levels, because as well, too many people can get hold of you all at the one time, especially in the situation I'm at. It can be overload of the senses when you've got so much things going on and everybody wants everything quick. And I think that can overload. And I think as well, some of the things that are good for your mental health are to just do one thing at a time, to be mindful. If you do any research on mindfulness, just doing one thing at a time and being mindful, breathing, relaxing, going outside, taking in some fresh air, some of the things that are good for your mental health, exercising. I've probably neglected that a little bit. You know, you don't want to go outside so much because it's dark and cold in the morning. You want to stay in your bed where it's warmer. You know, you're not getting as much vitamin D. I think we spoke about this before as well. You're not getting the same amount of sunlight that you normally get in the summer. So that can affect it. And there's just a lot of things that going into this time of year. That said, obviously, it's been World Mental Health Day, Monday the 10th of October. I do think the Beardy community is a place where you can talk about mental health. I mean, obviously, in my club, Damo's Beardy Fun Club, we have a section every Monday where people can come and get support and help. And there's always somebody in there that's got a problem that wants to share, and people that want to help and want to listen. But I do know, you know, previously it's, you know, we've grown up in an era, man up, don't show your emotions and all of that. But I do think it's turning. I do think it's changing. I mean, I certainly feel okay to talk now on this podcast and say, yeah, I feel a little bit down. And you know, randomly, I've had probably 3 people have messaged me today out the blue, like just checking in, saying, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "That's really nice." Then I'm worried. I'm like, "Why are they asking me that out the blue?" Like some people, like, I haven't spoken to for quite some time, and maybe it's just because I haven't done as much as I normally do, like on Instagram stories or something. People might be like, "Oh, they're out of character," but I definitely feel there is support, and people willing to listen and help and share. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I've been the same. I think it's, for me, it's fatigue. Like, I think at the same there, although on one hand I'm like, oh, there's no events. On the other hand, I'm like, oh, there's no events. Because even getting prepped for a lot of the events is stressful, making sure you've got everything done. And I think part of my stress now is like my brain's been almost on this like continuous fight mode, like got to get it done, got to get it done, got to get it done. You know, the launch of the Beardmail box, got to get it done. Fuck, running out of time, got to get it done, got to get it done. And I think that now it's like, oh, I haven't got so much to do, that my brain starts going, hang on a minute, something's wrong. If I'm not, all of a sudden, I'm not like, fuck, 100 miles an hour, that my brain's sitting there kind of going, isn't there something I'm supposed to be doing? That's definitely something I was supposed to have done. Oh, what was it that there was? And it's there going, because it's so used to firing away with 150 tabs open at any one time, that it actually doesn't know how to deal with not being busy.
It's
So
actually balancing the amount of stress. So a little bit of stress is good. It's enough to get you motivated, to keep you going, to keep you focused, to keep you on song and doing what needs to be done. So your body does create a little bit of adrenaline and a little bit of cortisol to keep you moving, to keep you doing stuff you need to do. You and I in particular, obviously, we're very busy with fingers in lots of pies, doing lots of different things and spinning lots of plates. It's not necessarily the same for everybody. That said, you know, even, you know, I don't have children, but for yourself, I mean, you're balancing business and wife and children, multiple businesses, and it is spinning a lot of plates. And I think it's different for different people. Some people are better at coping at doing lots of different things, and others not so well. But I genuinely feel it's, for me, certainly, you have that amount of stress and it goes up and up and up and up and up. And when it's about here, that's when I'm, you know, on flow and I'm doing the right amount of stuff and I'm cracking on. When it gets up to here, it's like sometimes it's just too much. And then perhaps when it gets down there, it's like, well, you know, I'm not going to do anything. But then in your nature, I struggle to relax and do nothing because I feel like I should be doing something, which is a little bit like
Same.
you're there. So I think it's about making sure your stress levels are about here. And this is the thing where you have to, turn your phone off, go to the gym, go for a walk, your stress levels come down, And when you're not doing them things, and when you are taking on too much, and when you have got too much, it gets to here, and it gets to the point when it's there that you start to put yourself in trouble, because you can. Sorry for those just listening. I've got my hand and I'm putting it up and down. And basically, it's what's the saying? Like, I've had it up to here with you, or I've had it up to here with. It's like I feel like generally people get up to a point, and then the tipping point is over the top. So I think managing stress levels is super, super important, but a little bit of stress is okay, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think we're using this little level of up here and down here type thing. I think, the swinging between high and ultra low stress, I think, is almost just as bad as being in the high stress, because I for one struggle, like, exactly the same as you've just said there. If I go, do you know what, I just need to soak in the bath and do nothing. Phone comes out and I'm like, well, I might as well order some stuff while I'm in the bath. I might as well respond to some socials while I'm in the bath. I might as well, because it is. I think my fear is that if I'm not doing anything, I almost have this attachment to it that if I'm not doing anything, I'm being lazy. Yeah. And it's like, I could be doing something. I could be making the most of that time, Whereas if I'm just lying there doing nothing, although actually you're doing quite a lot for your recuperation, I personally have this problem where I'm like, well, I could be doing something. If I've got time, I could probably do a batch of soap or something like that, or I could check the website for one of the businesses and maybe tweak some descriptions, or look, better check if there's any new stuff to keeping an eye out on. And I think it's a fear, isn't it? Like, and you said, earlier on about the phone being, people wanting stuff from it straight away, and people want stuff now, and and I think that it's also the same as with self as well, as it's a case of, if I don't keep up with what's going on, then all of a sudden I'm going to be way behind. But then it's the same. My best piece of advice for that was when I went traveling. When I was younger and I went traveling, and I'd gone away for 6 months, and we were like, I wonder what it's like when we get back. It must be so different. Everyone's going blah, 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 blah. We came back and nothing had changed. We hadn't missed anything. Literally, we hadn't missed anything. We might have missed a couple of birthday parties, but in reality, in 6 months' time, we actually hadn't missed a thing. Okay, that was the early noughties, but still, people were just doing the same shit, same thing, just doing their thing. So sometimes it's good to be mindful and know that you don't, just because you miss out on something, so what? Like, catch up tomorrow. And I always say the same thing to my daughter all the time. And maybe I need to take the same advice.
I think with that, I've found that when I've worked in very busy and stressful environments, you feel like you have to be there. And I'd work in one particular job. I was the first one in the door and I was the last one to leave. And I'd always stay late trying to get everything done. And it was a battle every day doing that. And then you're like, if I wasn't here, it would go tits up, it wouldn't work and all that. And then actually I ended up having a football injury, and I was out of work for like 3 weeks or something. And it carries on, like the work carries on when you're not there. There's some of these bigger businesses and companies and that they still run. Yes, you are an important cog, but when I think it's not until your health takes a dip, or something goes wrong with your health, that you realise actually it's usually your body telling you you needed a bit of a rest, mate. This is what's happened to you, so you can take a rest. And I think that's, I don't know whether it's an era or a culture or a personality style, because I think everybody deals with these same things just at different levels. And I suppose it is what is important to one person isn't necessarily as important to another. But when you strip it back to the basics, the human body has to relax. You have to wind down. You have to have sleep. And those times are really just as important as eating and drinking and having sex and exercising. Resting and doing nothing is really important. But is it this modern society where we've got access to everything at our fingertips and so much to do? Is it that doesn't enable us to switch off and have a rest? Why is there, and why has there been for thousands of years, yoga? Why is there Pilates? Why is there mindfulness? Why is there all of these things? And it's because humans need it. They're not getting enough of it.
But I find as well. I think for me, I go through like now. I think because I'm also lack of sleep, my habit falls to food. You know, it's a case of if I don't if I don't sleep enough, I'll just keep eating. And if I'm at work and I'm just at my desk, I have to just eat. Like I'll have stuff in my drawer. I want to eat chocolate. I want to eat crisps. I just want to eat. It's almost like those little. It's gonna be bad because I'm gonna regret it in the new year. I'm like, oh god, I got fat, man. But at the minute, it's like I want biscuits, I want chocolate, I want sugar. I think it's those little spurs of like, ooh,
But
ooh, and
that's in the same vein as, you know, oh, I want to check my Instagram and see how many likes I've got. I want to, you know, I want to have a little gamble, or I want to watch a bit of porn, or I want to go out and have some beers, or I want to, like, if you're not comfortable just being sat yourself, you feel like you need something and want something. I mean, are you actually hungry, or are you eating for eating's sake because you want another little bit of that dopamine hit? You want that little bit of, oh, because if you have a bit of chocolate, boom, you have a little bit of sugar, boom, it don't last very long, and then you dip in again, you know.
mm,
You go to a beer competition, you have a great time, and then afterwards you're like, boom. So then, I don't know. So some people go in retail therapy, they want to buy something. Are you busy buying stuff on Amazon or something to get a little? People want. We struggle, I think, in the modern community to just be rather than doing. We're human beings, not human doings. We should be.
yeah, no, I agree with that. I think, and there's, I think I'm sure I saw recently actually when I was looking through my Blinkist. There's actually there's a whole book on sort of how to curb spending and spend. Are you spending just because you're bored? You know, you think you walk into a shop. I'm really dangerous. If I went into Iceland the other day and I walked out, I spent like £9 on shit, like literally fudge cake bars. It was 3 for £1 or whatever. So I've got the fudge ones, dairy milk ones. I've got the other ones. I've got biscuits and crisps and chocolate. And today I had to tell myself finish the lot because otherwise it's going to be there tomorrow. Now I've got none left. I'm probably going to have to go and get more. However, I've got my too good to go swag bag.
You've just reminded me of something that you talk about your too good to go swag bag. I've just remembered that I think I've got a little treat hidden in here from Beard On.
So those of you who know, I if you've listened to the free stuff podcast and just in general our podcast will know that he's got fudge bar. Is that from Dan Silky Brown?
Yeah. I'd forgotten all about that. Thank you, Dan Silky Brown. I've just found my fudge from Beard On competition. I'm going to smash it right now. Carry on, Dan.
You smash it while I talk. So those of you know, I do love a bargain, and I am quite, you know, the frugal hunter. And quite recently, I've been looking at. I use the app Too Good to Go, and I mean it's a fantastic app. And literally, just before we were about to jump on the podcast, I was like, I'm going to go and get a coffee because I was a little bit tired, a little bit flagging. And so I pinged open my Too Good to Go app to see if there was anything available, and there was one from the little local coffee shop down the road. I got all this bag of food. Bear in mind, I didn't actually get a coffee. So this is big shout. This is Esquire's in Sydney. It's a new little coffee shop, not been open very long. But it cost me £3.69. Damo's going to die on a live.
I'm going to choke on Dan's
So fudge stick. So now, bear in mind, I've not actually seen what's in it before. I'm not seeing what's in this yet, but it's a heavy old bag. I'll tell you what, for £3.69. So I'm going to rattle through it really quickly to show you. Little ASMR vibes. A live unboxing. There's this fudge brownie. That's gourmet.
Describe it for the viewers, Dan. Describe it.
So it's a chocolate brownie. There's a second piece of chocolate brownie in the bag, and I'm going to try this just because. Oh, good lord!
Talk about it while you're eating it.
So it's a really, oh my god! Oh, so it's like a really gooey, sticky chocolate brownie. It's almost like
Too good to go. End food waste.
That's it. Yeah, it's really good. So at the end of the day, basically what happens is at the end of the day, shops that have fresh produce that they can't sell tomorrow, they'll put it in bags ready to go, so you can buy them for quite cheap. This is incredible. It's got like old-fashioned fudgy stuff on the top, making me really happy.
I'm going to say, let's just tie this back into mental health. So what you're saying, to get better mental health, you need to eat loads of fudge from the Too Good To Go shop, yeah? Got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. Another package.
That'll make you feel better for 10 minutes.
For about 30 seconds. Oh, mate, there's a cheese and ham chip out of there. This won't take me long. I'll unbox it really quickly. But this is happy for me. Not only was this little purchase. It's full of sugar.
You look quite perky since you've opened the bag.
That little brownie. There's a little chicken and cheese baguette as well. Little chicken and cheese ciabatta. Like this for £3.69. My family's getting fed tonight. Hold tight. And then what's this one here? A little barbecue pulled pork and cheese ciabatta. And then last but not least, a little cheeky pan au chocolat. So bearing in mind that their sandwiches in there are like £4.75 each. Or something like that. So I've got 3 ciabattas at £4.75 a piece. I mean, this is competing against the Beardmail beard box at this rate. 2 pieces of fudge at £2 a piece. Fudge brownie. A pan au chocolat, everyone knows they're about £1. And an almond croissant, they're about like £1.25 maybe, depending on where you purchase them from. For £3.69. However, I do think it was the last one. There was 3 minutes before they closed, and the look on the guy's face when he handed me over the bag looked like I literally robbed him of his dinner. I think he was thinking, like, he's looking at his clock going, "Oh, that bag's mine. No one's turning up to pick it up." And I was like, "Hi, I think I've just snagged the last bag." He was like that.
I've literally just had a little look and downloaded it and selected my area. I can collect a magic bag from Greg's, a magic bag from Muffin Break, a magic bag from Costa Coffee. I can even collect one today from Costa Coffee. Between 4 and 7, it'd be £3. But it don't tell you what's in it. You just freestyle whatever's left.
It's totally random. The Costa ones I've always found to be a bit average.
Yeah.
They tend to give you like cheese and bean toasties, which is crap if you haven't got one of those toasties that allows you to put those sorts of things in.
You can get hot stuff like Morrison's Cafe.
Yeah. There's what I saw one when I was out and about. Can't remember where I was now, but it was Toby's Carvery. You can pick up at the end of the night Toby's Carvery trimmings for like £4. So you
can
get
all away with the whole turkey.
Whatever's left, right? Once it's cooked, they can't put it out again. So that's a feel-good thing right there. I'm feeling good right now. I'm going to be crashing hard in about 5 minutes. But it's also a way of saving some money, helping the environment, apparently.
That's what we're all about.
And it might make you feel good. If you like a bargain, it'll make you feel good. Anyway, back to mental health. I've done my unboxing real quick.
Nice. I wouldn't expect anything less than you to talk about food on a podcast, regardless of we could have a podcast on boobs and you'd still get food in there somehow. Quite easily, actually, thinking about it. That one.
Well, I was fed on boobs until I was about
exactly. I knew you'd slip it in there. Oh God. So yeah, back to the mental health then, Dan. So I mean, a little bit of it. You've got to take responsibility. You've got to take some action yourself. If you are genuinely struggling with stuff, and you might not even know. I take for granted I know quite a lot about it because I've worked with people for many years and had professional training on things, but not everybody knows that. That said, there's a lot of information out there now on Google, but I mean, mental health, I did one of the mental health first aid courses. I actually did it for a college. I did a level 2 one.
I did it too.
A couple of years ago. And there are obviously different levels of mental health or mental well-being, they call it. And there's, I say I take for granted how much I know, but not everybody knows everything necessarily. But there is so much information out there. There are free courses you can do in most places of work now. Will have a mental health first aider, and absolutely in the beard community, if you put your hand up and say, "Hey, I'm really struggling with my mental health. What advice or how can I get help?" People will steer you in the right direction. However, in my personal experience, you do have to do a lot of the work yourself. It's not an easy fix. You can't go to the doctors and get a pill and it's done. You have to change a lot of, it builds up. Yes, medication will help, but you have to do the basic stuff that a human being needs. You have to go outside, you have to get fresh air, you have to walk, you have to exercise, you have to eat right. If you're drinking alcohol, taking drugs, it's not going to help. So you have to do a lot of the work yourself. It's not easy to fight mental health, but we've all got it, and there isn't another option. It's like you have to look after your mental health. It's one of the most important things out there. If your heart stops beating, you're knackered. If your brain stops working, you're knackered. So you've got to really look after yourself. And if you are finding yourself, whether it is a genuine medical diagnosis, because you might be bipolar or schizophrenic or have something quite significant, but even if it is really low level depression or even if it's low level anxiety, sort it out now, learn about it now, take it as an opportunity to learn about yourself, because there is help out there. So, and it's just
and personally, I'd rather people try to fix it if they can without medication, because I find a lot of medication just numbs. It's literally designed to just numb you. So it's not really helping your mental health. It's just numbing it. So, and then it can become quite a challenge to come off that. And then all of a sudden you're on an addictive drug that's really difficult to be weaned off of. So, whereas it's quite a lot of mental health can be, you're just doing too much. Slow down. But some of it can fall down to worry, financial stress, and that sort of thing. So it's a different, and everyone. This is the thing, isn't it? You can only signpost people into the right direction. You can't really give advice per se, because everyone's situation is different. My experience, obviously, with mental health is different than your experience with mental health. You said earlier on, we all deal with it very, very quickly. Like I, for one, am quite hard on myself. I'm like, you feel like shit. You haven't got time to feel like shit. Pull your boots up and crack on. Whereas some people, that's not going to help. Where some people do need a bit more of a softly touchy approach. Me, I just need a good kick up the arse and a good telling off. I am one of those guys that needs to hear, man up, Dan. You've got to just crack on. You can't stop. Whereas other people, that sort of thing isn't going to help at all.
Sometimes I find just having a little nap helps.
I tell you what, the power of a nap is phenomenal. I'll often at work, sometimes if I just get to the point where I'm at work, I'm like, I'll go and get in the hammock and I'll just take 20 minutes out. I'll close my eyes. I won't really sleep, but I'll sort of go try and get myself into theta phase and just think about what it is that I need to actually do. Because when I've got 1,001 things on, sometimes you've just got to separate it and just pick something that that can be done now.
I've just changed my daily routine. So I started this morning. It's been on my list of things to do for ages, and I've literally actioned it this morning. But I actually do some mindfulness now in the morning. First thing, I don't look at my phone. I wake up, I go into the room that I've prepared, sit down nicely. I do 15 minutes of mindfulness, breathing, relaxing, getting myself set for the day, and then I'll crack on with the day. And it's really important to me now. I'm going to do it every day.
Nice.
Make it part of my routine, because beforehand all I'm doing, I'm waking up, checking my phone, and then boom, the world has already got hold of me. Then my brain goes elsewhere on stuff that I don't need to look at until I'm ready to look at it, when it's time to work. So yeah,
that's good advice. That's good advice. I'm just as guilty of that. Sometimes if my wife's downstairs before I've woken up, the first thing I see is my phone. And sometimes I've not even noticed that she's walked back in the room, because I'm just like, I'm so engaged. Check emails, sales, socials, other bits and pieces. That, like you say, looking at that at 7 o'clock in the morning is going to make no difference to your day than when you look at it at 9 o'clock in the morning, when you actually sit down into your office environment.
When you're ready to action and do something about it, yeah.
Otherwise, sometimes I'm there in bed and I'm like, oh well, while I'm here, I might as well just slide the laptop over. That way, I can achieve something before I've even left my bed, and I'll just hammer out a few emails or something, or do something, and then before I get out of bed, I'm like, yeah, I nailed it.
Try it for a week, Dan. Right, in the morning, for the first 15 minutes of your morning, either do some mindfulness or do some press-ups or sit-ups or something instead of that routine. Just try it for a week, and then for the second week, do what you used to do. But then when Megs walks back in the room, make sure she got a bacon sandwich or something, because I guarantee that would grab your attention, wouldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Or just walking naked or something. It'd be great. That even more so to grab the attention.
Can you
And
commit?
then the kids will go, Mom, Dad. Oh.
Keep it down. Could you do that for a week, Dan? Just for a week, every morning when you wake up, make sure and you might need to wake up 15 minutes earlier, so you got time to do it. But 15 minutes, just do some mindfulness or some press-ups. I need to get back on the exercise wagon. Press-ups, 15 minutes. Sit-ups. What do you reckon? Can you do it for a week? That's all I'm asking. 1 week, Dan, and then you can tell me about it on the podcast next week.
Yeah, I think I could do it. I think I should try it. But I want to get back into the running. I keep saying it. I even started to try and get into a routine of doing 2 minutes of planking before bed and in the morning. I did it for about 5 days, and then it just went by the wayside. Just completely fell out of it. So it's kind of need to get back into that again as well. And then the running for me, I love the running because I could literally bang a podcast in, preferably the Beardmail podcast, guys, or an audio book or something like that, and just go for like 40 minutes. And then run, but now I've got an excuse. It's cold, it's raining, it's muddy, it's freezing. So, I think it's just a case of just trying to get over that, really. But yeah, I think we all need to sometimes take stock of what's going on upstairs. A friend of mine, just looking at a t-shirt now, as a t-shirt at the podcast studio. A friend of mine, Jamie Archer, deals quite a lot in construction, mental health. And he started "Are you okay, mate?" But literally just letter "Are you okay?" and then M and then 8. So "Are you okay, mate?" Yeah. Because he was in a dark place, and he tells his story of how he was, near suicidal, and came very close to completing suicide and that sort of thing. And then now tells his story to construction firms, and he's doing some stuff with football clubs as well now, in the Premiership and stuff like that. So yeah, sometimes just asking the question, like you said, it was quite nice that someone checked in. Are you okay, mate? Haven't heard from you in a while. Are you okay?
There's a couple of hashtags in that bound around, isn't there? It's okay to not be okay, and are you okay, mate? And boys cry too, and all this sort of stuff. So there's a movement happening. Things are going on. Interestingly, I did some Vox Pops for On the Tools, which is a construction social media site, and literally went round Birmingham speaking to tradies all across the city centre. When it was mental health day, it might have been last year actually, asking all about it. And it's a big deal. But it's a big deal in every industry. It's not obviously just construction. I know a guy who does construction sport actually. Steve Kerslake. I used to know him when I lived back in Essex, and he does a podcast about construction and mental health. It's specifically all about that and how sport helped him recover. So yeah, there's a million stories out there of people, and obviously we personally know people that have committed suicide as well. So it's not something that's just make believe. Like, it's a real thing. It really affects people massively. So I suppose in closing, because we've gone a bit over now, in closing, eat food is a good morale booster. Take a little nap, do some mindfulness, do some exercise, get outside, get some fresh air. Ask for help, take professional help, take the pills if you need to take the pills, and have a little Google. Well, I'll put in, when we post up on the YouTube, I'll put in some links and stuff for mine. Some of the things that pop to mind for me, professional agencies that offer support. There's Samaritans. You can just call Samaritans. It's like a 6-digit number, or you can go on their website and email them. There's Shout, which is a text service. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you can literally just text and get some help. Our good friend Blake Mayer actually does a bit of volunteering for them. And then there's Mind. Obviously, we did the Oxford Beard Festival for Oxfordshire Mind, but there is Mind for every county. I imagine there's Coventry Mind, the Lions Barber Collective as well. There are tons of mental health support groups out there. Calm is another one, the campaign against living miserably. But generally, it's. I personally feel that just chatting with somebody in confidence, where you can get stuff off your chest. I think a lot of stuff for men is they take it on board and they keep it in their brain, and they don't talk about it, and they don't necessarily get it off their chest. So I think sometimes problem shared is problem halved. That's why Manspace Monday is great in DBFC. People just talk and they be listened to. it really works. It's a good bit of therapy, that. So yeah, that's Mental Health Podcast, brought on by World Mental Health Day. I hope it's all been good for everybody. We've gone on a little bit, but it's all good. Maybe we'll do
I was going to say, I just wanted to add just before we do go, because I think this is equally as important, is something that I do every now and then is I actually go through my phone and I play a bit of call or delete with myself.
Yeah.
And it's actually years ago I actually wanted to do a campaign based on, you know, the old BT advert, It's Good to Talk.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins. And just picking up the phone and actually going through it and going, do you know what? I've not spoken to that person in years or months or something like that. Picking up the phone and just having a conversation with someone. How's it been? Just literally I thought about you the other day and I thought I'd give you a number, a quick call, see how you're going on. Sometimes you get caught in a really nice conversation where the person that you phone is just having the best time ever. They've just had a really shit time, but now they're on a really good end of it. I spoke to someone the other day. He said that his life has just been, for the last 6 weeks, have been amazing. You know, he went through divorce, through lockdown, and, you know, loads of lack of work through the pandemic. And I spoke to him a little while ago, and he said, I'm just having the best time of my life at the minute, mate. And we were talking for ages, and I was listening to him. And the whole time I was listening, it's important to listen. Don't phone someone to have a moan. You know, phone someone to listen to their story. And I was listening, and the whole time I had a smile on my face. I was like, and I literally got off the phone. I was like, wow, that was amazing to hear that, you know, just to hear someone else. And I think, you know, we do get caught in a negative mindset and we do love a moan. And I think sometimes it's good, although it's good to moan and get stuff off our chest, if you're constantly in an environment where everybody around you is doing nothing but moaning and complaining, it will pull the whole energy down for everyone. So try and speak to people who are positive and who are kind of can spread positivity and are genuinely happy, for outgoing people, because when you listen to them, that happiness comes back to you.
Have you been listening to my Instagram story today?
No.
I literally posted that. It was a reel I reposted, and basically it says the best way to heal an unwell dog is to put it in a healthy pack of dogs. Because in its values and its beliefs and its being, it aligns with the other dogs that are healthy. It also works for horses. That's what they do with horses, and it also works with humans. So yeah, you're absolutely right. Surround yourself with like-minded people that can support and that will bring you up to their level and make you better as such. But it's an ongoing battle sometimes. But absolutely, we have so much control over what we see, how much media we intake, how much social media we intake, how much, you know, news, what we read, who we speak to. You could wake up in the morning and have a really shitty experience of life just by speaking to certain people and watching certain channels and following certain feeds. And on the flip side of that, you can wake up and have a brilliant positive day, depending on who you choose to speak to, who you allow in your little world. And this is a subject for another podcast, but, you know, people say like blood thicker than water, and people saying about, it's your family, you can't choose your family and that. But nowadays, people do cut off family members if they're toxic, and it's the best thing that they've ever done, because you can't let yourself be pulled down by people. It doesn't matter if it's your boss or if it's your brother or if it's your wife or whoever it is. You know, you don't deserve to have yourself pulled down. Because you're only here for one short visit. So we're here on this spinning blue planet. It's very, very short in the bigger scheme of things. So you have to do the best you can to enjoy the little bit of time where you're here. Big time. Yeah. Boom. 43 minutes of absolute gold dust and food. Thanks very much for listening, guys. If you are having any troubles, or conversely, if you know of any great organisations or great places or people that you go to get your help and support, let us know in the comments. Give us a like, share, subscribe, and all that jazz. We're just two blokes talking about cool stuff, and we've got epic beards. Shall we say bye, Dan?
Take care of yourselves, guys.
Thanks for listening or watching the Beardmail podcast. We have new episodes dropping at 07:30 a.m. every Wednesday in UK time. So we thank you very much for watching. Check us out on www.beardmail.co.uk for everything that's new and happening soon. Thanks for listening, guys.
tell them to buy the Beard Care Beardmail box. We're still live, Dan. Just quickly just say buy the box or something cool.
Oh, if you like little boosts of retail therapy, then there's a Beardmail box that you can get. It's about 50 quid worth of value of stuff and swag in there for $34.99, including postage.
Boom! Go and get one. Thanks for listening, extra boys. Bye. 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 Bye.